Okay, I think we will start, and anyone joining us can catch up as we will briefly give an introduction first. I would like to welcome you all to our meeting, and good evening to everyone. This session is regarding the creation of blended learning exhibitions. I would like to express, first of all, my deepest gratitude to you all for showing interest in our training and taking time off your, I'm sure, very busy schedules to join us. Now, before we start, I just need to inform you that this webinar is recorded for administration and dissemination purposes and potentially published on Poeme Project's YouTube channel as educational training material for people who wish to be trained later on. If you disagree, you can turn off your camera so as not to be seen in any of the audiovisual recordings. Let me also start by introducing myself. I am Louisa Kythraiotou, and I am a sociologist, researcher, and senior project manager in the Global Education Department at C.I.P. Citizens in Power, which is also organizing today's training. Now, before we start, I would like to give you a very brief introduction to our organization. For those of you who don't know us, Citizens in Power is an organization founded in Nicosia in 2012, and since then it has been operating as a center for education, research and development, and is one of the leading organizations in Cyprus in the field of global education, social innovation, entrepreneurship, STEAM and sustainable development, as well as mental health and citizens engagement. Now, the C.I.P. team applies cross-sectoral interdisciplinary approaches in response to fundamental social, educational, and environmental challenges and policy reform gaps. Our team of about 23 special scientists in diverse fields has been working to inspire, activate, and transform communities by endowing citizens with innovative tools and comprehensive solutions, thus enabling them to reach their maximum potential in a sustainable manner. Now, at C.I.P., we aim to design unique projects for European programs to conduct scientific research in order to tackle systemic social, educational, and economic problems, and also develop and incorporate technological innovations into learning to make the educational process more effective, entertaining, but also motivating to those interested. Now, for the implementation of our actions, we collaborate with public and private institutions, research centers, and universities across Europe, such as the University College London in UCL, the University of Sorbonne, the Open University of Barcelona, the Council of Europe, and Cypriot institutions such as the BAC, UCLAN, the University of Nicosia, and the Ministry of Interior. Now, this slide summarizes in numbers some indicators and achievements that we have managed to have over the organization's existence. As you can see on the slide, we have completed more than 100 EU-funded projects. We have coordinated at least 18 of them throughout our operation. We have conducted more than 300 training and pilot testing activities, have been awarded by the European Commission 4 times, and you can also see by our numbers that we have very high dissemination and exploitation potential. I should also mention that apart from the fact that C.I.P. has completed over 100 EU-funded projects in the past 11 years, we are currently running more than 75 European projects, seminars, and social initiatives, excluding new ones that have been approved from the recent Erasmus Plus calls. Our projects involve Key Action 1, Key Action 2, and Key Action 3 Erasmus Plus projects, but we are also engaged in Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, COSME projects. We have an NEC-BC Med, or otherwise known as Interreg project. We run AMIF programs, which relate to the Asylum Migration Integration Funds, intercultural cities programs funded by the Council of Europe, and we have recently acquired 3 Horizon Europe programs. And our organization is currently coordinating 8 Key Action 2 and Key Action 3 Erasmus Plus programs. Now at C.I.P, we have 4 distinct yet interrelated departments. First of all, we have the Department of Cultural and Humanitarian Affairs, otherwise known as Global Education, in which this project belongs, referring to Poeme project. And this department strives to provide an inclusive and lifelong education to citizens of all ages, with an emphasis on various disadvantaged or marginalized groups, such as migrants, refugees, ex-prisoners, NEETs, early school leavers, individuals with specific learning disorders, deaf and hard of hearing individuals, as well as persons with disabilities and people facing other psychological and socioeconomic barriers. Moreover, the projects falling under this department discern education as a driver for social change and advancement, aiming towards the following targets. For instance, the enhancement of social inclusion of marginalized groups and augmented social cohesion, the development of both basic and advanced skills and competencies, the improvement of employability chances, and also the sensitization of the public and cultivation of awareness towards sensitive issues. And the last point is that we provide tools to shape individuals into responsible and active citizens. We also have the STEM department, which aims to cultivate a more positive stance for people of all ages towards STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and bring them up to speed on the skills and knowledge that are most relevant to today's society. Now, to achieve this, the department designs and implements non-formal methods of learning and hands-on toolkits, gamified approaches, digitized methodologies relating to the arts, as well as design thinking models. We also design and apply virtual museums for STEM learning and virtual or augmented reality tools for teaching STEM. The department also implements digital modeling and prototyping, 3D printing, mobile and app technologies, computer coding, data analytics, Internet of Things, machine learning and game development, robotics and environmental engineering, as well as many others in the daily routines of starting from kindergarten to primary and secondary schools, vet schools, youth-oriented organizations, but also lifelong learning centers with adults and senior adults. Our third department concerns the entrepreneurship department, which focuses on the promotion of the different ramifications of entrepreneurship, such as social, green, and female entrepreneurship, and the transference of values distilled from this field to youth, but also other target groups. Now, our projects in this department explore a cross-sectoral approach, with entrepreneurship being closely entangled with ICTs in the form of business incubators to provide sustainable, innovative, and environmentally friendly products and solutions. The projects on entrepreneurship approach the subject through alternative, empowering, and entertaining, most of all, methodologies, for example, like game-based and role model-based learning. And finally, we have the Department of Social Innovation and Green Technologies, which was initially established to reinforce and accelerate the development process of the remaining 3 departments. But one of C.I.P's main priorities in this department is to contribute to the modernization of teaching methods across the EU. Accordingly, this department designs solutions in the field of educational technology that meet the needs, learning patterns, and peculiarities of different learners. In this department, we design and construct innovative educational platforms, online Moodle courses, game engine software, and applications such as virtual reality tools for educational purposes. If you're interested in any of the projects or departments that I have mentioned, you can contact us and we'll be happy to direct you to any of the project's websites with free and ready-to-use materials in multiple different sectors. You feel free to also scan this QR code on the screen, which will redirect you to our organization's social media channels, where you can follow our constant updates regarding training materials and any other workshops that we conduct on a monthly basis. Now, going back to our training for today, before we start, I would like to give you just a brief information about the structure of our webinar today. And first of all, I will be very briefly introducing the project on which we are basing our methodology for creating blended learning exhibitions and presenting the interactive e-guidebook for Poeme exhibitions. Then I will guide you through one of our sample exhibition blueprints and how to use them or create your own for your own classrooms. Now, the exhibition blueprint is based on one of our thematics that we have created in the project related to Cypriot intangible cultural heritage, the legendary dessert wine Commandaria. Now, during the course of the webinar, feel free to interrupt me and ask anything that you are concerned about or think was not understood, but I will also allow some time in the end to hear your impressions and answer any questions that may not have been answered during the training. Just to inform you, as I will be presenting, I may not be able to see any raised hands throughout the session. So if you need to say something in the moment, just unmute your microphones and say what you need to say, just so that I don't skip you over talking. So the project we are here for today is called Poeme, which is short for Project Leading to an Exhibition for the Incorporation of Migrant Children into the European School Frameworks. It is a Key Action 2 Erasmus Plus project for school education. And Poeme is funded by the EU and the French National Agency, with a coordinating partner being Les Primaires in Paris. The rest of the consortium, the partnership, comprises of an educational center in Belgium called Logopsicom, the NGO AMKEIASIS in Athens, the Directorate of Secondary Education of Pieria, again in Greece, and the Portuguese Network of Schools, SPEL. Now, Poeme's main objective is to create concrete and tangible results for the modernization of second language teaching in schools through exhibitions and digital tools. These include e-worksheets, e-guidebooks, and blended learning exhibitions for acquisition and cultural recognition among school teachers, including those with migrant backgrounds, of course. It also aims at upgrading school education staff and student skills, enabling them to acquire greater resilience, adaptability to change, and flexibility, skills that could potentially enable them to participate in innovative practices in second language acquisition, but also familiarize them better with European cultural heritage. Now, I would like to present to you with some tools that we have already created through the project and ones that are soon to be produced, with the Poeme blended exhibitions chosen as the ultimate project result of the project, the fifth result. Now, the exhibitions will require the skills acquired through familiarization with the previous resources. The first tool produced by the project was an e-report that sets a theoretical framework for all of the results to follow, which highlights in particular the value of non-formal teaching methods, the value of using digital media such as e-worksheets and e-books in the classroom, but also the value of integrating elements of European cultural heritage and blended learning exhibitions as pedagogical tools. Now, our second tool is a collection of 18 e-worksheets available in all the languages of the project's partnership, for instance, in English, Greek, Portuguese, and French. And this material is mainly targeted for use in classes of children from 12 to 18 years old, and focuses on language competencies, including lexical, phonological, and syntactic knowledge and skills of students, including those with migrant backgrounds. Our third tool are ebooks, where we have created 10 ebooks based on the 4 different types of cultural heritage. These are namely natural, tangible, intangible, and digital cultural heritage at 3 different levels of difficulty on the CEFR framework of the European Union, if you're familiar with it. We have created ebooks on the A1, A2, and B1 levels. And these ebooks are interactive, they're visually appealing, and contain audio narratives of the story for each theme, as well as definitions of the difficult words in each level, which are also complemented by different visuals and images to enhance students' comprehension of each difficult word. Now, in this slide, you can see how each previous project result organically builds up to the creation of blended learning exhibitions. As I have previously mentioned, the e-report, which is result 1, provides the solid theory for the Poeme approach. The second result, which are the e-worksheets, are complementary, ready-to-use, hands-on activities and digitalized material that are focused on content related to cultural heritage that build on specific terminologies, vocabulary, and wording. And the third result are the ebooks, which are samples basically of ebooks and explanatory sheets about how to create ebooks yourselves, in addition to a webinar training and presentation on how to build your ebooks using various different free and open source software. Now, before opting to explore the remaining resources together, I would like to highlight the need and pedagogical applicability of using blended exhibitions as an alternative and complementary tool in your classrooms. There are multiple and diverse benefits associated with exhibition creation. Some of them include teamwork, critical and innovative thinking, interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, information literacy, the ability to apply what has been learned, effective goal setting and problem solving, knowledge exchange, ICT and digital skills, active engagement and participatory learning, leadership and project management skills, research and analysis of academic literature, object research and construction skills, as well as presentation and communication skills, among many, many others. Now, to facilitate this extremely rewarding process, Poeme has generated an interactive e-guidebook, which is basically a methodological guide explaining step by step the process of creating exhibitions in physical or digital format, for which you are here today as well. Now, Poeme project offers opportunities to migrant and local students to co-create and curate exhibitions based on the cultural heritage thematics that we have previously defined: natural, intangible, tangible, and digital heritage. The curation process offers the ability to plan, design, implement, but also present an exhibition from scratch, equipping students or anyone interested, for that matter, with the vital 21st century skills needed. To see how the guidebook looks like and what it contains, I would like to take a few minutes to quickly navigate through it with you so you can get a sense yourselves what kind of step-by-step instructions, guidance, and examples are provided to achieve what I have previously mentioned. I will give you a real-time tour, but if you would like to access it from your own devices, you can scan the QR code that you see on the screen here on the right, and using your mobile phones, or you can use the link that I will just send you right now in the chat, just so you can follow me if you would like. I will give you just a minute to make sure that you have some time to navigate yourself through it. For those of you who are following me via my screen, I need to tell you that we need to visit Poeme's website by simply typing on our browser this specific URL, which is poemeproject.eu. And this will take you to the project's website. Now, to access the e-guidebook yourself, let me go to the English version in this case. To access the guidebook, you need to hover over the Resources tab right here and select IO4 Interactive e-guidebook for Poeme exhibitions. Now, when you click the Interactive e-guidebook, you will be able to view something like this, where you either click Start to begin reading, or click on the arrow next, and it will take you to the same page as the one that Start would. Now, when I click Start, it takes me to this page, which contains the table of contents of the guidebook with the different chapters that are covered throughout the guide. If you want to go back to the main page, you just need to click on this home button and it will always take you back to the cover page of the guidebook. This is just so you know some of the different functions of the guidebook. Now on this page, you can see obviously the table of contents, which includes a step-by-step guide on how to build basic research and analytical skills through online resources. There is also material that can be used by students to develop their management skills, communication and writing skills, presentation skills, and finally, their digital skills. It also shows teachers and students how to build the narrative behind their exhibitions with the given cultural treasure that they are going to be working on, and tell it as if it were a story to make it more interesting and captivating. The guidebook also explains how to make appropriate templates and display the material that is going to be exhibited. And lastly, it describes in detail how to prepare different acts or other performances taking place during the exhibition, if this is something that would potentially interest you to include as part of your exhibitions. Okay, so now when you slide your mouse on top of each icon, you will see that you can access each section of the guidebook. These icons are all clickable themselves. So we should see it in practice. Let's click on chapter 2, which is about undertaking research to create blended learning exhibitions. When I click it, each section initially looks like this. However, you will see that there are some plus signs here that are clickable, and they are interactive elements, and when clicked, they reveal more information about a specific topic. They will either redirect you to another page or give you more information on the spot. To see the interactive elements on each page of the guidebook, you just need to scroll above here on the right-hand side and click this icon to see which elements here are interactive. It will show you which ones are clickable. This is just so you know, again, about some of the different functions of the guidebook. To go back to the main table of contents, you just need to click on these 3 lines on the top left-hand corner, and it will always take you back to the table of contents wherever you are in the guidebook. Now, I will just give you a few examples of what the content looks like by navigating through a couple of chapters in the e-guidebook. I will click on chapter 2 again and click on this plus sign, which will take me to a specific section with further information. On this page, you will see that there are again plus signs, which, but this time these will give you extra tips on the spot and won't redirect you anywhere else. They just give you extra information on the specific topic. Let's go back to chapter 2. I need to show you something else as well. So when you click on this section, you will see that there is an sign under these 3 elements. This function is used to also explain a topic further, and sometimes this includes some extra examples or photos included under these sections. So you can click them and find out more or give you a practical example of what this looks like. And again, I will just follow through one of these sections to show you an example of something else. When you go through the guidebook, you will see that there are sections in which there are very useful links directing you to other kinds of websites for inspiration, or even design platforms like Canva, Kunstmatrix, Google Slides, and many more. There are direct links that take you to different sections of the different software that explain to you how to use the different softwares, etc. So make sure to go through all of the links because they might provide useful information for you. And of course, at the end of the guidebook, you will find a reference list to credit all the authors that have been cited in the guidebook, but also it can be used by any of you who would like to read more about a certain topic and find out more about what has been mentioned in the guidebook. So please take your time to go through the guidebook yourselves. You may find some very interesting information regarding the creation of exhibitions. There are multiple tips included inside the guidebook that will make your life much more easier if you are aware of some of the tips. So now that you have seen what the guidebook looks like and what kind of content is included in it, we'll move to the second part of the webinar, which is actually mostly what you're here for, where I will be going through the blueprints that we have created of one of the tailor-made blended learning exhibitions that C.I.P has created, actually, which is based on the theme of Komandaria, which is an intangible cultural heritage element in Cyprus. And this exhibition follows the components proposed by the guidebook that I have just presented to you. At this point, before we proceed, do you have any questions regarding the navigation of the guidebook or anything that I have mentioned so far that you have any questions on? Are we okay? Okay, I will move forward and feel free to ask me anything later on. In this part, again, I will mention that we have created 6 different blueprints providing guidance to educators and students through detailed steps and concrete examples of creating an exhibition from scratch. These Poeme exhibitions operate as ready-made samples to be viewed and explored, downloaded or printed through the resources tab on the Poeme website that I have shown you, this time under the section of blended learning exhibitions. And I will go through one example with step-by-step instructions to give you an idea of what these exhibitions look like. Now, before we start, please note that an exhibition normally tells a story. And this is done through objects, models, sounds, text, digital platforms, art, pictures, and acts or performances. A student-curated exhibition for your classroom or school would give great scope for object-based learning, which also allows cross-curricular learning and inquiry-based learning as students delve deep into a chosen topic. You need to follow the steps to help you organize your own classroom or school exhibition. And these steps are a practical suggestion based on what the e-guidebook suggests as well. But despite any of these suggestions, it is understood that there should always be some flexibility and adaptation to the needs of your class. Therefore, as you use these blueprints, feel free to make any changes and adaptations according to your own classroom's needs. For the first step, you could use the Poeme ebooks and e-worksheets to guide your work, as they provide fundamental knowledge regarding the subjects explored. Through their engagement with these resources, students will acquire the skills necessary to proceed with the creation of an exhibition. Subsequently, you need to spend some time asking the students in class, share their observations to help you find out about what kind of interests they have and to plan your exhibition theme and set goals accordingly. On the right side of the presentation, you can see an example of the main theme of the exhibition we tailored, and below are the educational goals of the exhibition. Don't forget, you can amend these according to the goals you wish to achieve in your own classroom. This is just a suggestion based on the example that we have provided. Now, the second step involves deciding how many sections your exhibition will be divided into. An ideal number for us is about 3 subsections, as you can see here as well. But what will be the themes for each subsection? What will be the order of your sections? In groups, students can define the sub-themes that they want to explore based on the topic. And as educators, you can develop inquiry questions to help them and encourage the use of various resources, including books, the internet, and Poeme products. Now, here it is important to note that the objects you will exhibit depend on the sub-themes that you define. As you can see by the example, for the 3 main subsections of the Komandaria exhibition are winemaking, medieval ages, and tradition. As you can see, they're directly related to the subject, but we also kept them broad so as to be able to include as many types of activities as possible. Now, each section is then separated into the sub-themes. And in this case, we suggest you to have 2 to 3 sub-themes per section. As you can see here, we have 3, 2, and 3 again. So a total of 9 to 10 exhibits for the whole exhibition should be the perfect number for you. Now, in the next stage, you are expected to select the objects that you want to exhibit and decide on the exhibits themselves. Think about what kind of objects you want to include in your exhibition to tell its story. In this case, we recommend 3 to 5 objects per subsection so as not to have too many things to exhibit. And also, this may increase your cost as well if you need to buy materials, etc. In this case, you should also consider the abilities and skills of your students. They can also bring something from home to exhibit or create their own exhibits in a school lesson, such as IT, arts classes, or anything related. Now, exhibits can be tangible, digital, or intangible. They can also be interactive. And if you choose to make a live blended exhibition, so a physical session, you can alternate between tangible, intangible, and digital objects. You don't have to have either or. You can combine the different types of exhibits. If you choose to create an online, a purely online blended exhibition, you should ensure that the tangible or intangible objects can be digitized somehow. Now, as we have done with our own exhibition, you can create a list of the objects that you will need and specify the subsection in which each object will be exhibited in. This is for the purposes of mostly organization and planning ahead to know what you will need to have for each section, but also helping you to set up your exhibition much more easily than without this table. So as you will see here as an example, the first exhibit that we propose, and we will explore it later on, is a map of the Komandaria villages. This is the name of the object. The type, you select the type of the exhibit, whether it's tangible, digital, or intangible. In this case, it is a physical object, so it's tangible, but it can also be held digitally by, for instance, projecting the map on a projector and showing it digitally to the students without printing anything out. The subsection it belongs in is winemaking, and this section refers to whether the exhibit needs to be created from scratch by the student or teacher, or whether it is ready-made and can be used as it is. In this case, since we wanted to make our exhibitions more interactive, we decided to have most of the exhibits needing to be created on the spot. So after you have your objects list, you need to create a roadmap of the exhibition and what it will look like physically. Think about where your exhibition will be held, whether it will be held in the classroom, in a school hall, in the school auditorium, or even outdoors, and draw a floor plan that is kind of reflected as the one here. How could you best use your space to display your objects and stories? You need to sketch the exhibition sections onto the floor plan so that you better understand from where the exhibition starts from, whether it will follow a linear path, which corners of the room will be used, etc. This is just so you can organize yourselves better. And if your exhibition is digital, you need to decide how it will be displayed online. Will it be included on the school's website or another medium? Will you create a separate blog just for this purpose? You need to decide these things, and it's up to you to construct your exhibition as you like it. For example, here we have also created a linear path and map of the subtopics of the Komandaria exhibition with the order of the sub-themes in which they're presented, as well as the way the objects will be exhibited in. So this is how it looks like, and we have divided according to each section so that students follow a similar path. But you don't need to follow it linearly because each exhibition can be conducted by itself as well. Now, a more detailed explanation of each object arrangement and display is explained in the next section of the blueprints, as you will see yourselves when you download the blueprints. You need to discuss how you wish to group and arrange the objects for display. The criteria you set depend on your main theme and the story you want to tell to your audiences. Think about how you will display your objects and stories. What additional resources do you need to display? You can use your classroom walls, old pieces of wood, a piece of furniture, cardboard boxes, folded paper for labels, a projector, or even a tablet for each one of your exhibits. On the table, for example, you will see that for each section, we have identified the different exhibits and also explained how they will be displayed. For instance, the history of Komandaria timeline here will be done physically with a timeline printed out on a large life-size scale and placed on the floor for students to write the events of Komandaria's history in chronological order. So we explain how the exhibit needs to be displayed in a physical space. Now, after you define the objects and their placement, you need to write first an introductory text panel in the form of a poster or a banner as a general explanation of what your exhibition is about, to give it a brief introduction of what this is about. Then you need an introductory text panel for each section of your exhibition. So for the winemaking section, the medieval ages section, and the tradition section, to explain what the theme of each section is about. And in an online exhibition, this would be in the form of a picture or something similar in JPEG or PNG format. And finally, you also need exhibit labels to share information about what is on display for each one of your exhibits. In this case, you can also use QR codes if you want to share more information about your exhibits. They can scan the QR code with their mobile devices and enter a specific link that takes them to more information. Maybe it's a virtual video that they need to watch about the specific exhibit, etc. It can be very interactive. And also in an online exhibition, you could place the labels digitally right next to or below the object's picture, for instance, along with a relevant link in case you want to give more informational material about the specific exhibit. And also, just a friendly reminder for this, the written text should not exceed 250 characters according to our research. We need to keep it short and catchy so that the audience does not get bored reading 10 or 20 object labels that are too long and boring to read. And here you can view just a few examples from the object's labels. You can create as many labels as you want. This depends on the theme and the number of exhibits you have chosen to include in your exhibition. I'm just going to give you a quick minute to have a quick read through. These are examples from the general description of the exhibition, and these are the different panels for each of the sections. And we also have the different labels for each exhibit that we have in our exhibition. Have a quick read through to get a better sense of what is written. But something that I will recommend is keeping the language playful and interesting to catch the audience's attention and interest in the specific exhibit and make them want to learn more and engage with the object or whatever is on display with more interest and excitement than just a basic description of what this is about. For instance, here we direct the attention to them saying, roll up your sleeves, put on your aprons and get creative. And this is some other set of examples. It can also provide informational materials as well. So following the previous steps and in perfect agreement with them, it's time to build your exhibits. Before construction, you will need to create a blueprint that will be accompanied by appropriate explanatory images or design plans to better facilitate the process. Alternatively, you can use any of the blueprints that we have created to recreate something similar, identical, however you like. The blueprints are necessary for the better organization of the exhibition and for the division of tasks between students to know who is doing what. A recommendation would be to assign groups of 2 to 4 students to create each exhibit. So you can have 4 students working on one exhibit, another 4 working on another exhibit, and then after 1 hour, for instance, your whole exhibition will be set up because you have divided the work across groups, or you can have them work in slots so that they can all experience all of the exhibits and not miss out on anything that they don't want to miss out on. Now, these slides consist of the analytical procedure of each exhibit that we have proposed. Some also include some images of the activity or the material that will be created or used in the exhibition. You can start by reviewing one blueprint before creating your own if you wish to design one from scratch. You can also conduct a trial using these ready-made exhibits blueprints. And I will go through one example with you, and you can explore this further when I send you the presentation following the end of the webinar. So for instance, in this case, the first exhibit of the Commandaria exhibition is under the section winemaking. The exhibit can be done both digitally and physically with tangible objects. The estimated duration that we give for this is to be completed within 30 minutes of classroom or after school time, and with a group of suggested number of 2 to 4 students. Now, the exhibit is said to be an explanatory map, which indicates the regions of Cyprus wherein Commandaria is produced. Students are given a big map of Cyprus, preferably a life-size image. Here we indicate at least the dimensions to be 150 times 100 cm and the labels to be at least 10 times 5 cm, but you can make it as big as you want. And all these labels and the map are printable elements that you can download from the exhibition itself, so you don't need to recreate them. And in group, students will need to collage the labels given in the right place on the map. Now, to do so, they may need to use a computer or book to research the locations of these regions in Cyprus and work collaboratively to identify their correct placement on the map. These printable resources, as I said before, are found on the blueprint itself and are ready to use if you wish to utilize them without any amendments. But you can also download them and resize them to your own needs. Alternatively, you can recreate them yourselves, and you can also do so digitally. Please bear in mind that these blueprints are available in all the different languages of the partnership. So they are available in English, Greek, Portuguese, French, and that's it. Yeah, 4 different languages. So going through the exhibits, you will see that some of the exhibits are more interactive than others, while some are more traditional. Either way, they're all made to be very easy to implement in practice and with almost no additional cost to the school or yourselves, which is also a very important consideration. Another activity/exhibit that we propose through our exhibition is creating a process book station. Students will use a digital device to research the main steps of making Commandaria and find the best images to use for every step. For instance, one of the steps is related to crushing the grapes. Students will need to go online and find a free image that perfectly encapsulates this step, and then they will create a digital album that will cover all the different steps along with their images. They can also use videos instead. To do so, they could create a short ebook using ebook creation software with the images and steps. In this case, I would recommend Book Creator or Canva, which are the most user-friendly and free and open tools. And for this, you can also use the ebook training that we held back in October to do it very easily. This is under the project's platform that I have previously navigated you through. It's under the section Training Resources, which contain a recorded webinar that was held back in October, and the PowerPoint slides that have step-by-step instructions of how to create an ebook as well. So you don't have to do something yourselves if you are feeling insecure about using a new method in your classroom. There are step-by-step guidance for this. Alternatively, you can just create a PowerPoint presentation or something that you are familiar with to create the process book station. Now, another exhibit we have is a more interactive one. It's a messy play activity, wherein students are asked to create their own comandaria wine using fruits and juices, combining different flavors to create their own so-called wines without alcohol. And this activity is meant to be experiential and help them better understand the process of successfully mixing different kinds of materials to create something from scratch that is also tasteful. And while doing so, they're asked to keep a record of their so-called recipe. And then we will combine all students' recipes to create a nice recipe book that they can decorate themselves and keep as part of the exhibition. And this way you can have both an intangible activity, which is the actual mixing of the different juices, but also a tangible result and product that can be displayed, which is the recipe book that will be put together. Another exhibit we proposed is a more traditional one. It's related to constructing a historical timeline to explore the medieval ages and the history of Comandaria. Now, this is related to the subsection called Medieval Ages and can be done tangibly or digitally. The estimated duration for this is very short. It's 15 minutes with 5 to 6 students per group. And the process is as follows. The students will use, again, a life-size image of a historical timeline. We provide a sample template for you right here, which is also downloadable from the blueprint, but you can also recreate your own. This can be printed out physically or displayed digitally using a projector, and students can edit it online. Now, students will need to read, again, a ready-made text that we have prepared on the exhibit, which is related to Comandaria's history throughout time, and try to pick out the most important parts and events of the story throughout history. And this is related to text comprehension, mostly related to language acquisition. And then they will use the timeline that is available to them to place the most important events on it in a chronological order. Another extra activity I would propose for this would be to hold an open discussion, especially in the case where there are many disagreements regarding the chronological order of the events, or whether students chose very different types of events to display as important. And if they have different answers, it's nice to hold the discussion and kind of a small debate, an informal debate about why one event is more important than the other, etc., just to enhance the exchanges between them and help them develop their argumentation skills as well. Now, another fun exhibition idea included is the performance of the Battle of the Wines, wherein students are asked to tell their own story and take the roles of medieval ages characters, participating in a short performance to reenact the Battle of the Wines competition that was said to have been organized by King Philip II. And students here are expected to improvise in an acting activity and try to use the vocabulary that they have learned throughout the exhibition, but also from previous results, such as the worksheets and ebooks, to practice it in a form of dialogue with each other. This can be done very creatively with students using props and costumes to enhance their performance and make it more engaging for them. And the activity can be performed physically, of course, but to establish the digital format as well, it can be recorded once when it is performed to be displayed digitally using a camera recording device, a projector, a screen, and speakers, so that it can be presented in a continuous loop during the exhibition, so that students don't need to reenact the performance over and over again if you choose to have your exhibition exhibited, for example, for a week at the school's auditorium or something like that, so that you have a record of this performance and they don't have to perform it again and again. So as you will see yourself, we have created very different exhibitions. There are 9 total for this one, and they are all fun and interactive in their own way. I have only gone through 4 or 5 of them because of the limitations of time, but you can always mix and match what you want to create and what you want to use. And of course, choose to amend any of them for your own classroom needs and create a very interesting exhibition yourself. You don't have to follow them all step by step, but this is just a way to give you an inspiration or ideas about how to conduct different interactive activities in your classroom to also facilitate learning. Now, the last step before closing is to refers to the process of launching and presenting your exhibition once it's actually planned, designed, and created. Now, to do so, you need to create posters using persuasive language, which entices your audience to want to come along to your exhibition. And you can also create a list of who you want to invite to your exhibition and send some invitations via email or physically to, for example, school staff, parents of children, educational policymakers, or anyone who you would think would be interested in attending your exhibition. And finally, if you want to do this in a more formal event, you can plan an opening ceremony slash event, which might include speeches from the school's principal. You can have different spots in the room where students present some of their exhibits, or have one-to-one discussions or group sessions discussing some of the results of the exhibition, etc., or decide whatever you would like to have during a more formal event. And finally, don't forget that the most important part of this process is that students create their exhibitions independently, depending on the interests, skills, and abilities that they have. Successful completion of the exhibition means that in the end, the students had fun, they learned, they collaborated, and gained unique experiences throughout the whole process. And this is what the Poeme project is about, and that for which we are aiming for. And we encourage you to try this approach as well when teaching in multicultural classrooms or any other classrooms that you are involved in. Now, at this point, I would like to inform you that we are planning to collaborate with some Cypriot schools to take part in a national workshop wherein their students will create exhibitions in Greek and will be virtually or physically curated and presented in their own settings, schools, etc., wherever they would like to have them. And the best 6 exhibitions created by students across the partnership countries will be added to the Poeme Digital Gallery on the project's website and showcased along with our 6 sample exhibitions to generate a virtual exhibition of the artifacts and exhibits produced. Now, if you or your school is interested in participating in this national workshop, please make sure to contact me as soon as possible to arrange our collaboration, because this is an extremely beneficial opportunity for those of you who are interested, and we would be honored to collaborate with you in this context. Now, closing our presentation, I would like to thank you all very much for your participation and your time. Let me also tell you that I will email this presentation to you along with your attendance certificates, and you can use the presentation to keep it on file in case you want to proceed with creating exhibitions for your classes, just as an extra training material. But we'll also publish this training webinar online in case you want to revisit it again. In this case, I would like to ask you to please take 1 minute to scan the QR code that you see on the screen to give us a quick evaluation of the webinar and provide some feedback on what has been presented today, and maybe something else that you would like to see or contact us about regarding this topic. I will just give you 2 minutes to complete it before we proceed with some more informative statements. Are we ready, or do you need another couple of minutes to complete the questionnaire? Okay, I will assume that you're all ready, but I will resend it to you with along with the confirmation email and attendance certificate, just so that we are sure that you have all been given a chance to evaluate the webinar. Now, in the final slide, I have put the Poeme project's website link for you right here, and its Facebook page if you're interested in learning more about the project or downloading any of the educational materials that we have created. I have also added my contact details in case you have any questions or would like to collaborate with us for holding these national workshops at your school. And now, before we close off the session, I would like to ask whether you have any questions, any impressions, concerns, or anything you would like to share with us regarding this session. I would be very happy to hear your thoughts on this before we close off, if you have any input to give us. Anyone? Okay, I assume from the silence that everyone has been covered, but of course I will happily answer any of your questions that may arise later via email. If you need anything, you can contact me on my phone as well. So once again, thank you all for joining us. Have a great afternoon, and I hope to hear from all of you again soon. Thank you very much.